can you just lay out what would be in the bill if this bill becomes law? What would change?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, the Congressional Black Caucus and the leadership will introduce the bill, the identical bill, in the House and the Senate on Monday. And basically, the bill addresses the challenges that we all have in holding police accountable. You can't fire them, you can't sue them, you can't prosecute them. So there are very specific provisions that we're proposing. So, for example, qualified immunity is something that applies to police officers, which means that you basically can never sue them. There needs to be a national database. So when there is a bad officer, that bad officer can't just leave and go to another area. You remember the officer that killed Tamir Rice had been fired shortly before that. Racial profiling, you mentioned the chokehold, no-knock warrant should be ended. That's what happened to Breonna Taylor, the militarization of the police. So it has several different aspects, but I would say the center of it, and we're calling it, by the way, the Justice and Policing Act, the center of it is accountability and transparency. And so we think it's a landmark legislation. We're going to work very hard to unite our caucus and to reach out to Republicans. And back to that call, I found out that two of my Republican colleagues, one was a former police officer, the other one's son is a current police officer, and they both talked about how they were horrified at what happened to George Floyd. But the way we're framing it also is no profession wants to have a bad apple bring the name of the profession down. You as a journalist, a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, nobody wants to have bad apples. And so we want the police departments to be able to get rid of them. And we also want to make sure that they don't go and serve as a police officer in another area. So we want to build support for this. We think this is a critical bill, and we do believe that it will turn the curve. It doesn't solve everything, but we do believe that it will make a very significant difference.